Hello, this is Tim's RV Tips number 9. Going to tell you how to grease the calipers and automatic slack adjusters on a 1997 Foretravel U270 motorhome. Started on the front of the rig because the brakes do not have spring brakes attached, so they are freewheeling and the calipers will move freely as you're working on them. You'll need to make sure you have the right parts. I got Meritor clay-based high temperature grease, a new grease gun, and some anti-seize lubricant compound. You'll need to raise the rig, raise the airbags, and put blocks under the chassis so that you can work safely under the rig. I use degreaser and clean the grease off of all the brakes, the grease fittings, the zerks, and all the areas, the manual slack adjuster, adjustment nut there, and just make sure I had a clean area to work in. There's a device called a pawl that needs to be raised. My particular rig has a adjustable pawl that you can pull up with a square screwdriver, and you will damage the automatic slack adjuster if you don't pull this up or remove it. And so this is an easy way to allow adjustment of the automatic slack adjuster. So to prepare for greasing, you have to pull the pawl and then turn the manual adjusting nut here 3/4 turns until the caliper contacts the rotor. Then you can start the greasing process. So just apply grease into the slack adjuster fitting until it squirts out the top. And now on to greasing the caliper. The video that I watched from Meritor, made in the 90s, as well as the instruction manual, say to cover the relief valve, which is the center item there with grease squirting out of it. And the other video said to just let it squirt out. So I did it both ways. I squirted some grease in with it squirting out, and then I covered it with my finger to kind of pressurize the caliper and squirt the grease through the whole system, including the splines. And so I did the best of both worlds there. And then I squirted grease in the fitting of the caliper cap, and as you can see, it's coming out the relief valve, so I put my finger on that. I couldn't hold the camera with I don't have 3 hands, so I had to stop and hold that relief valve down so the grease would squirt out the cap. This is purging the grease out of the caliper. This makes sure that the grease is not pressurized in the caliper. So I'm actually backing off. Before I did this, the brake shoe was contacting the rotor. We're backing off 3/4 of a turn on that, and that purges the grease and also adjusts your brake. That's the way mine was adjusted, 3/4 turn, backing off of the caliper there. Now on to the clevis pins. There are 2 pins held on with little almost like cotter pin type things, and they can be removed, and remove the pins and inspect them and cover them with anti-seize lubricant and reinstall. When you remove the clevis pin, the actuator will actually retract a little bit. That is easily manually put back when you're ready to reinstall the clevis pins, so it's not a problem. Nothing's pressurized there, so you should be able to manually push it along. Now we're on to lubricating the slide pins. I understand that it's difficult to, without taking the tire off, service the upper slide pin. This is showing the lower slide pin, taking the nut off of there and sliding the slide pin out. It'll push manually out if it's in decent condition, and I had to use a vice grip and make sure I didn't score it. But and you can push up on the caliper to help you get that out. You can push up on and relieve the pressure on the slide pin. Inspect the slide pin for excessive pitting. I deem this acceptable. Not sure if it's acceptable, but I lubricated it with the dry lube with Teflon spray, a dry lube. Put the anti-seize compound lubricant on it, and I was done. Last thing to do is to check the discs for any checking or cracking or unusual coloration of it, and Well, that's it for this version of Tim's RV Tips number 9. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.